So hi everyone, my name is Mickey Hudson and I am a PFAFF educator and I want to welcome you to the PFAFF Facebook Live. I'm so excited to be the first. We are going to be talking about the multifunction foot control and the ribbon embroidery attachment. I am going to start with the multifunction foot control because I will be using it throughout the course of this little Facebook Live. So it'll be tucked under my table and you won't be able to see it. So we're going to talk about that a little bit first. I am going to also show you some of my samples before I go into the ribbon embroidery. So if there's anything that you would like to see again, just put a little note in the comments and we will keep an eye out for that. I am open to questions and we are all ready for quite a few of the questions that may or may not come up. But I am going to just go ahead and delve right into the multifunction foot control. So the multifunction foot control is exactly like it sounds. It's multifunctions. So this is what it looks like. It is quite large. It is heavy. It absolutely stays in place. And it has these little wings on the sides. So the multifunction comes into play as we can give it gas just like we normally would. We can tap it and drop our needle just like all the same controls with the gas button. But these little wings on the side, you're not going to step on them. You're just going to give them a little tap and it'll give you a function control. Or you can just tap to the left or to the right. And then the heel also will give you a control. So I'm going to show you how to program all this and how it all works. And it is very, very, very cool. So I am going to change my view a little bit. And so that you can see when I plug this in. Let me go back to that real quick and show you that. So let's talk about that. On the side of your PFAFF, your creative icon, you have the USB ports. You have 2 of them. This connects right to your USB, one of those USB ports. So you just give that a plug in. And the other portion will connect right to the back of the foot. So as soon as you plug that in, I'm going to do that, but I want you to see the screen when I do that. So when you plug that in, the screen is going to react. So I'm going to go ahead and change that view again. So I'm going to go ahead and plug it in. Okay. And as soon as I do that, you can see here where the controls do pop up. And I can change to both sides and the heel each have a control. So if I were to touch on it, these are all of the different options that we can control from. I'm showing a little blurry. I do apologize. I'm not sure how to fix that. But the top one is no function. The second one is stitch restart. I've got foot up or extra lift, reverse, the cut function, and the fix function. So I can control each area. I can give it a different command. So on this one, I have the foot up control, extra lift control. On my right hand side, I have the cut function, and currently I have no function for the heel. But there's quite a few things that you can program. And you may be working on a project where you want some controls. So you may be working on a project where you want to have the control set up in a certain way, and then working on another project where you want the control set up in a different way. And you can change it whenever you want. So as you saw on the screen here, on the capacitive touch screen here, is I actually closed the multifunction foot control. Well, how do I go back to that? And that is very simple. If we come down to our settings and open that up. Okay. We have machine settings. Sorry. And if we come down, yeah, it's in. Oh, now I'm drawing a blank. It's in here somewhere. There it is, multifunction foot control. It has its own tab. I haven't played with changing it from the control settings very often, so that is quite embarrassing on my part. But it is in the settings, and that is where we get to that. So if you have a creative icon, you already know that if we want to get out of settings, we're just going to touch settings again. Okay. So I don't know if we have any questions on that yet, and we will get. So when will the update on the ribbon embroidery attachment? I don't have an actual date, but it should be fairly soon, and it will. You should get an email, and it'll also show up on the PFAFF.com website. But your dealers will, as well as PFAFF, will let you know. But it's coming very soon. I just don't know that exact date. So I am changing the. I'm sorry, I'm getting my questions. I am going to show you some of my embroideries that I've done with the ribbon embroidery. So with the ribbon embroidery attachment, there are going to be some designs that are coming with it, and this is one of them, and these are the others. So here I have chosen different ribbons so that you can see the variety of ribbons that you can work with. So the first one is, this is a silk ribbon, so it's just gorgeous. Right? And this is an organza ribbon. And then this is just a regular satin ribbon. And then this is a decorative ribbon. And on the background, the sparkly you're seeing is kind of that fusible glitter vinyl that is available. And so I just fused that down first, and then it did the ribbon embroidery on top. Now this was an example where I ran out of ribbon. I had miscalculated, and we're going to talk about how to know how much ribbon you need in just a moment. But I had miscalculated my ribbon and ran out. So I just threw another color in, and so there's no need to panic. It's just a gorgeous, you just really can't do these wrong. They're just, whatever you do to them, they're really, really gorgeous. And then this is one of the designs from the MySewNet library. So the rest of these are going to be from the MySewNet library. And this is yet another type of ribbon. This ribbon is actually furry. So it is just a ribbon, and did a little poodle skirt. Isn't he cute? This is also from MySewNet. So this is one of the newest ones, but yeah, just a little glittery ribbon. And then this is another one. Whoops, she's hidden. This is a little butterfly that came off of MySewNet library. And then I just used the binding attachment, the 3-hole yarn foot, just kind of did all kinds of fun embellishing. And then there's quite a few different animals on there. This is an elephant. If you haven't been to MySewNet library lately, I do recommend it. There is the Magnificent Lion on there, which is really, Karen Charles put that on, and she actually did a fabric collage, and it was gorgeous. So I'm thinking about doing something similar with this guy. This is a table runner. that I did, and I just ended it here with a ribbon embroidery. And the nice thing here too is, I don't know if you have played with the design placement app, but that is how this was done. So I actually hooped this, used my design placement, was able to get these quilting designs exactly where I wanted to. Design placement will be another Facebook Live, and so we'll talk about that at another time. These also came from the, I'm going to hold this up real quick before I show you the close-ups. So these all came from the My Sewnet library, all of the designs. And then all of the quilting was done with the Premier Plus 2 embroidery. So I used the Quilt Block Wizard to stitch around. So this one I used the word sculpting and did this. I don't know if you can see it, but there's little hearts there. And again, more Quilt Block Wizard. Again, more Quilt Block Wizard. I love the Quilt Block Wizard. And then this was word sculpt. So I created a background in which to embroider these on top. And then I used the quilt binding attachment, which I am absolutely in love with. I have a few things that are still in progress. So this is something I'm doing for my grandson. So there's quite a few dinosaurs on the My Sewnet library. This is one of them. This is another new one. And here's when I talked earlier about the butterfly having the glitter vinyl underneath, here's a very good example of how you can see the glitter vinyl underneath. So one of the tricks to this is you can open the ribbon embroidery in your software. When you do that, it gets rid of the ribbon embroidery. So I did that so that I could just stitch the outline and then trimmed away the applique and then put the ribbon embroidery on top. And that's how I did this. And then this one, some of you may have or may not have seen, but this is the magnificent lion that I was speaking about. So there's one way to do it on the My Sewnet library. There's this way. There's all kinds of different ways people are using the ribbon embroidery attachments, and it is so cool. So this is in color, and this one is just in shades of gray. So what does the furry ribbon look like on the spool? I will show you that. So this also came out of the Premier Plus 2, just the fonts out of the program. This is a ribbon embroidery cloud. But this says, always be yourself. Unless you can be a llamacorn, then always be a llamacorn. And what I did here was I took the llama, again, some of that furry ribbon, and I took the llama and took another unicorn design from the My Sewnet library, took the horn off of one and put it on this guy and turned it into a llamacorn, because you always want to be a llamacorn. So let's see, to answer your question, let me see. Ooh, I thought I had it right here. So let me get the ribbon embroidery going, and the ribbon is just right on my table over there. But let me get the ribbon embroidery going. You can watch that. I'll grab that, and I will come back and show you what that looks like on the spool. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and put my multifunction foot control back down below. So I will talk about it when I use it, but you'll get to see when I get to use these things. Okay, so I'm going to grab this guy because I have plenty of him. So one of the things, I'm just going to switch over to a straight stitch. And I'm going to change my view here. Okay, I will talk more about when it'll be available at the end. So I will talk a little bit more about that at the end because I know the question's coming up. So I don't know if the question if people are going to be coming on and asking again. So I'm just going to go ahead and wait till the end and talk about it again. Okay, so I'm going to change my view a little bit here. Look at my camera setup. All right, and I want to turn my lights off. No, maybe not that many. All right, but what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and sew a straight stitch. Let me change my view a little bit. So I'm going to keep my hands on where you can see. So oops, I just I just hit my side pedal. So, but as I'm sewing, when I've decided I'm done, I can keep my hands right here and touch that little wing on the side, cut my thread, and I'm good to go. And like just the other day, I was working on a quilting where I was quilting the quilt top and the batting, but I did not have a backing on. So my feet were getting caught on my batting. So what came in really handy was I would just go ahead and I set the function for the extra lift. So when I touched it, it gave me my extra lift and I could slide my project in without, and the feed dogs were lowered, so they were out of the way. So that as soon as I started sewing, it was back up, but when I was setting it up, it got that right out of the way. So once again, I'm going to stop. I'm going to hit the and cut. It's just all hands free. It's so exciting. And then with a little bit of practice, this is one of my favorite things, because this is something you may not know that the cut function does. But the cut function, when we're stopped, will cut the thread. But if you're sewing while it's going, if you hit the cut function while you're sewing, which I did with my foot, it will tie a knot, it will cut, and then it will lift. So it'll finish whatever stitch it's doing, make a knot, and then cut. So with a little practice, you can get to where you can do that with your foot as well. And I have to tell you, that is just my all-time favorite thing. It still, makes me leap for joy. It is so happifying. So it just makes me really, really happy. Are there any questions about the multifunction foot control? Okay, so we are going to go on to the ribbon embroidery. So you can take a look at that. But this is what the ribbon embroidery device, the attachment looks like. So it's about the size of a side plate, and it looks more intimidating than it actually is. It is really, really easy. So basically what you're going to do is, I'm not going to go through the whole thing. I will do it towards the end if you want to see how it goes right from the get-go. But there's an inner ring on here. There's a little lock. So this just unlocks by pushing it up. The ring in here is what you're going to wind the ribbon on. Okay. And then when you put it in, you lock it in. It's going to come through. I'm going to come here. So, and it's going to come here out of this groove. Now, one thing when you wind it on, whatever side you want to see in the finish is the side that you will see when you wind it. Because as it gets fed through, it'll go back to whatever side we're looking at right now will be facing up. But there's all these little grooves underneath here. There's also this little dial here. Now this little dial will open or narrow depending on the width of my ribbon. So I'm just going to come and just weave this in and out. And I'm doing this at a weird angle, so I'm not as graceful as I am when I do it in my lap. So it's just weaving in and out, and then there's another weave right there, and then it's going to come on out. And then I want to make sure that I tighten this up to where it's just snug. See how it's kind of just snug there? All set. Now we want to get it into position to put it into underneath the ankle, the attachment holder. And if you look here, there's just these little marks. So there's a dot there, there's a red line here, there's a red dot here. We want all these to line up. So what I'm going to do is I just grab it by the base and I can just turn this and line that first dot up. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the tail of my ribbon and pull that until I get these two little dots here. Okay? And don't worry about this. We're not going to be wasting any ribbon. We're going to wind it back on once everything's attached. But we want to be in this position here because you'll see how it's kind of dented, indented so that it'll fit under your needle. All right. I do want to come back over here because what we're going to do is there's an attachment holder. Hold on, I'm losing my guy here. You're just not staying in place for me. All right. This is all a big learning curve for all of us. I'm going to have to figure out how to do that. It worked really well when I was rehearsing. All right. So I'm just going to kind of try and hold it the best I can. But what we're going to do is we're going to take the ankle off. So normally with the PFAFF, you don't have to remove the ankle for embroidery. However, we are going to be taking the ankle off. And we're going to be putting the attachment holder on. Now the attachment holder comes with the ribbon embroidery attachment. And it looks a little confusing. But if they give us this nice little cheat sheet right here with the red line. And you want to just keep the red line behind the needle post. So I'm going to turn off my IDT. And I'm just going to slide this on. And if you'll see, my red line is toward the back here. So I know I've got it in the right position. And I'm going to come here and screw this on. So this is now ready for the embroidery attachment, the ribbon embroidery attachment. Just don't know why here. Try changing the name. All right. So what we're going to do here is one final thing to know about this is we want to have the foot in the down position and not in the extra lift position. So I'm going to go ahead and lower it. So I always do this. I'll lower it and then just bring it up. So I don't want to accidentally be in the too high. So I'm just going to lower it and then bring it up. And then this will. So remember we lined all this up. So I'm just going to kind of come from the back, and I've got it at a little bit of an angle just so we can kind of walk it right in there. And then over here, let's see if I can get a better view for you guys. Over here, there is the little knobs on the attachment holder, and they're going to, this attachment is going to slide right into those, onto those. Let's see, you're just not going to behave. Okay, let's see how that goes right into there. And then we're ready to go. And then I did this on purpose, not really, but I'm going to tell you I did it on purpose, is because I put the attachment on before I put my hoop in. Because once this is on, you're not going to be able to get to the bobbin and you're not going to be able to put your hoop on. So you want to make sure that you do all that beforehand, which I'm going to do right now. But you're going to see here how easy it is to take off. There's a little button right in here, and I'm just going to slide it straight back and just kind of walk it back out. And there we go. And I am going to slide my hoop on. So I'm not attaching it to my arm yet, because if you've ever done embroidery you know that it's just going to yell at you to take the hoop off until it's ready for you. So I've put that on, and now I'm going to come and put this back on and just walk him right in there. Slide him right on there. And good. And then the last thing, and last but not least, is there's the plug here. This plug is going to attach to our sensor buttonhole system in the back. And I will change my view so you can see that here in a minute. But I'm just going to go ahead and plug it in. When you plug it in, what can happen, or not what can happen, but what will happen is it's going to let you know you have your embroidery attachment on, and it needs to calibrate. Just like your embroidery arm does, this needs to calibrate. So I'm going to go ahead and tell it okay, and it's going to make a little noise, and that's all good. Okay, and so I'm going to stay on this screen for a moment, because some of you may be familiar with the MySonet library and the Wi-Fi connectivity, and some of you may not. The Wi-Fi capable machines are, I'm telling you, they are the greatest thing since sliced bread, especially if you are one of these people, one of us that likes things smooth and easy and just no fuss. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go to the MySonet library, and I'm going to select a design, and from my Wi-Fi right on the library I can say just send right over, and he's going to come right on over here. Magic! It is so convenient. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and get this embroidering so that you can see what it looks like when it's embroidering. I'm not going to stitch the whole thing out, but I'll show you what it looks like while it's embroidering. See if I can change my position without having this. I'm so sorry I'm making you guys seasick. I really apologize about that. But while this is going, I will grab that fuzzy ribbon and show you what it looks like. So I'm going to slide my hoop on, tell it okay. Now at this point, remember when I said we're not going to waste any ribbon? So from this point I can come and just kind of backtrack that a little bit and tuck that in. I do want a little bit of a tail because I like to be able to tuck them in or pull them to the back. So I need a little bit of to be able to work with that. But then I'm just going to go ahead and touch start. So you may be asking, yes, that is as fast as it sews. However, it is basically a straight stitch. So even though it's sewing very slow, it actually is it finishes very quickly. But what is going on is there's actually a motor right in there. And as you can see, it's turning. It is making sure that the ribbon is in the right position for the next stitch, so that it is always directly under the needle where it needs to be. And this is how we're able to get those beautiful results with different ribbons. So ribbon sizes that you can work with are everywhere from 5 millimeters all the way up to 12 millimeters, I believe. So that's 1/8 inch to around 5/8 of an inch of the various widths. So I'm going to go ahead and stop that. So do we have any questions so far about any of this? Okay, so this is what this particular spool looks like in both the brown and in the pink. And it is just it's a ribbon. It's very wide, but as you can see, the ribbony part is only about 3/8 of an inch. So it works really well. All right. So I'm going to repeat the question about the firmware again because that has actually come up again. So when will the update be available? I don't have an exact date on that, but it is going to be fairly soon. And your dealer will notify you, PFAFF will notify you, and it will also be on the website. So, but it will be available. One thing that also comes up is, will my machine be able to accommodate this? Right now, the ribbon embroidery attachment is for the creative icon only, and one of the reasons is because of the size. It's like we need this throat area. So the one thing about the creative icon is it's huge in here. It's like 12 inches here, plus it's tall here. So it's this space that is what is allowing us to accommodate the ribbon embroidery attachment. So if you don't have that space, it's just not working. So will this fit the creative vision? So once again, it will not. It only fits the creative icon because of this throat area in here. We need the space. Can you join ribbon? That is actually interesting. I have tried. So what happens is when you try to join the ribbon or buy ribbon that is, sometimes you can get those scrap ribbons, but they're joined and they have that little seam right there. It doesn't like to feed through. And so I would say no. If you want to join ribbon, what I have done, so like on my heart here, let me change my view. So my little two-tone heart here, oops, I still have the wrong view. So this guy, as you can see, all I did was when I ran out of the ribbon, I just put new ribbon on and backed up a few stitches so that it ended up stitching on top of itself. And so you can join it that way. So that is one way that you can join it. Can you restate the size of the ribbon? That will work with the attachment. So if you're working in inches, it's 1/8 of an inch to 5/8 of an inch. And if you're working in millimeters, it's 5 millimeters to, I believe, 12 millimeters. So there's quite a variety. And I have worked with as you can see, quite a variety of ribbons to see what works and what doesn't. And the only one that's really given me a trouble is the ones that are heavily decorations in metallic-y. It's not actually metal, but they're a little metallic-y on the ends. Some of them work, some of them don't. But if it's really stiff right off the spool, those are tending to give me trouble. So any other? I think I've got. Will there be ribbon embroidery collections separate from my Sewnet library? No, as far as my knowledge currently right this moment, everything's going to be on the My Sewnet library. So whether that changes or not, or whether there's information that I just haven't got, but that is my current understanding, is that it is all on the ribbon embroidery. The ribbon embroidery is on My Sewnet library. They're coming with, you're getting some with the attachment itself, but it is currently all of the new ribbon embroidery designs are on the My Sewnet library. Does the pattern tell you how much ribbon you need? That is an excellent question. So I'm going to switch back over. That is an excellent question that I almost forgot to talk about. So yes, so I'm going to open up my palette here. I'm sorry, I know it's in an angle, but if I move it, he wants to fall apart. So first of all, you'll see this little icon here. I know it's probably hard to see on your screen, but it is kind of an angled view of the attachment itself. So it is kind of, an angled view of this, and you will see it right there. So, come here, you. Get out of the way. All right. So the question was, how do we know how much ribbon, or will it tell us? Yes. So whenever you see this in your color palette, that is letting us know it's ribbon. And up here we have our handy dandy question mark. Let me change my lights so you can see better. So we have our handy dandy question mark up here. So if I hit the question mark and then I touch in here, it's going to give me a breakdown. So it is in millimeters. If you have your machine set up to inches, it will show you in inches. It doesn't show you in yards, but it will show you in inches. But most of us have a smartphone handy, or a Google, or if I say her name, she's going to respond. Or even Siri or your smartphones, you can just say, hey, how much is this in yards? So it's very quick and easy to find out how much yardage that you need. You can either view it in millimeters or in inches. So in inches, we know 36 inches is a yard. So we can go from there. Can you free motion with the attachment? No, it is only for ribbon embroidery attachment, ribbon embroidery. So if you try to free motion with it, it's not going to be pleasant. You're not going to get the results that you want. Also, some of the ribbon embroidery designs, like the lion, for instance, he is both regular embroidery and ribbon embroidery. So there are some collections that are like that, where you're going to stitch it out just like you normally would. So you'll have your regular 6D foot on, and just stitch it out normally, and then it'll tell you it's time to put on the ribbon embroidery attachment, and so then you'll put that on next, and vice versa. So how many ribbon embroidery designs are currently on the library? Let me see. So I'm going to go right to the library. I'm going to search ribbon embroidery attachment, and it will let me know. Currently there are 1,996, and with the MySewNet library, they're adding every single week. So we get new designs every single week. And if you look at them, there are quite a few. Everything from like the kids to fashion to just cutesy to very creative. There's just all kinds of fun stuff. So there we go. Does it matter what type of ribbon is used? I do recommend experimenting. I don't. Earlier I mentioned that the only ribbons so far that I've physically had trouble with was the type that has a lot of like the glitter and metally stuff along the edges. If it bends, it's okay, but if it's really stiff, that's where I'm having the issue. So, but I'm a big fan of giving it a try. I have experimented with all kinds of stuff, all kinds of ribbon. As you can see from the variety of my samples, it's like if I see ribbon, I grab it and let's see if it'll work. So almost immediately, if it's not working, you can tell, because the ribbon will stay flat, or it's just kind of, it's not giving you a nice design, and you can tell it usually within a couple of stitches. So you're not going to damage it unless you really kind of push it with something really weird like a metal ribbon. But that's a whole different story. But most of the fabric, the silks, satins, even some of the, I have a weird one here. I'm really kind of worried about showing this one. So I have a weird one here. But this is actually a really stiff ribbon. And this was one of those that I tested just to see if it would work because it was super cheap. I got it in like the bargain bin of a bargain bin store, and I was like, this will never work. So I just stitched it out on the fabric, and it turned out so nice that I had to turn this into something. So it was one of those that it surprised me. I was just testing it, and it worked out really well. Do the designs on stay on my sewnet as they are added? Yes, they stay on. It's not like they take one to add one. No, they just keep adding. So it started when my sewnet library launched. It started with 4,000 designs, and it's almost at about 6,000 right now. So they're just adding to it. So some of your old favorite collections you will also see. There's going to be a lot of new stuff that you've never seen before. And then, of course, the new stuff that they're adding is really new. So there's just all kinds of fun stuff that's going on. What size needle are you using to whatever you're going to use when you use embroidery? So I tend to use the Inspira 80 embroidery needles for pretty much all of my embroidery. So that's personally what I have in there right now. And that is what I usually use. I know there's a lot of opinions on it, and it's like I'm all for find what works for you. Some people like the Inspira sharps, the Microtex. I personally like just the 80 embroideries when I'm doing embroidery. I buy stock in them. I just buy them by the bundle. All right. So are there any other samples that you would like to see again? Do you have any questions about anything? Want to see more of the... All right, so one of the things I'm going to come back to here is how do you take this off? So we're going to pretend like this is finished, and how do I take it off? So what you're going to do is you're going to cut, when it finishes, it'll show a little icon with scissors, and it's showing right into this area here. I tend to just grab the little tail here and cut right there. Personally, because I'm always working with these little teeny scissors, so I can't quite get them in there. And I'm working at a weird angle, so it's not coming here. The thing is, you want to separate this. We'll give it an unplug. And I go ahead need to, because I didn't let the design finish, I need to do some manipulating to get it lined back up. But that's okay. So I'm just going to kind of line my dots up. I'm going to pull that to line up everything here. And you'll see what I'm talking about in a minute. So you can see here where I'm lining everything up here, and it's moved on me so that when I come out I can get it all clear. Okay. All right. But then these tails, there's a couple of things you can do with the tails. You can leave them if you want, or you can get like one of those tapestry needles with the large eye and pull it to the back. And that's usually what I do, is just kind of pull it to the back. So I only did just a minute there. But as you can see, just with that little bit, just with that little bit here, you can see how nice it is. It stitches out really, really, really quickly. So I'm going to move this. I'm going to take this out of the hoop. Okay. I'm going to set this out of my way. Can you stop the ribbon embroidery where you want midway through the color? So can you stop this ribbon embroidery where you want midway through the color to add another embroidery. So actually, yes, I have a little work in progress. Let me just go grab that right quick, and right now you'll just kind of continue to look at my lion. Yes, I've dropped something. This is making me laugh. I wasn't expecting this question. Oh. All right. So here. And I'm okay. I didn't kill myself or anything. I just had everything piled out of my way for just now. So one of the things here, this is the little, and again, it's a work in progress. Okay, but this is one of the sheep on the My Sewnet library. So I used an organza ribbon, so it stitches out the sheep first. You add the ribbon embroidery attachment, right? But this guy here, I had a hat. So that is what you're asking is, can you stop? Yes, you can. Does the attachment require calibration? Yes. So as soon as when it's on, attached, so when it's attached, let me get this out of my way. When it's attached and plugged in, so this is the plug, like you're familiar with your sensor buttonhole foot, and he'll plug right into the back here. And as soon as you plug him in, it's going to pop up on your screen that it needs to calibrate. Okay, so that's plugged in. And what will happen as soon as you do that, he's going to pop in and say, hey, I need to calibrate. And so you'll just tell it, okay. And it's going to calibrate. Hear that? And then when you unplug it, it's detached. Now, one thing, if you do forget to plug it in, you're going to pretty much only do that once. Because if you forget to plug it in, it's just going to sew straight. So you just get a little straight stitch. And it will not move to move the ribbon into the right position. So all of a sudden you get a ribbon that's not laying in the position that you want it to. So yeah, you just do that mistake once. How do I know? Because that's what I did. Let's see. What kind of maintenance would you need to do with this foot? I'm not really sure. I haven't had any issues with it to know if it needs anything. It does come. I don't have the box with me because I work for the company, so I don't get the pretty packaging that you guys get. So it comes in this gorgeous little box that it's got a little magnetic front, so you can open it and store it in there and keep it nice and secure and happy. So it'll just live in that box when it's not in use. So it'll have its happy little nest when it's not in use. But as of long-term maintenance, so far I've heard nothing that it needs any maintenance. What if you run out of bobbin thread midway? That is a very good question. Again, that is something that has happened to me. It's a very sad day indeed. It's not. So basically what happens is you have to take the ribbon embroidery attachment off. So what happens is you have to cut your thread, take your ribbon embroidery attachment off, and rethread your bobbin. And then when you put it back on, you'll have to back up your stitches and do the little connection overlap. So it's not the end of the world, but yeah, it is one of those things, after you do it once, you sit down with the bobbin attachment and make sure that your bobbin is full and that your hoop is in position and all that before you attach the bobbin. Off the top of my head, I do not have The prices of the foot control and the multifunction foot control, you may want to talk with your dealer about that because they, I'm sure, have really good prices. So I just don't know the actual number right off the top of my head. Would you tell us how to wind the ribbon? Absolutely. So I've got about 10 minutes. So let me move this out of the way and change my view yet again. All right. So I'm just going to take the ribbon attachment apart. So here's the little lock on it. So I'm just going to unlock this, and this is where the ribbon ring comes out. Okay. So I'm just going to go ahead and let that all come off. So this is what the ring looks like. And you'll see here on one side, there's a little door. And it actually has a little arrow. I'm going to turn off one of these lights and see if I can get a reflection going. There we go. So you see how there's a little arrow? So that lets me know which way the ribbon needs to go in. So if I push the door from the back, it'll open up. See there? So I actually need to put the ribbon in this way. The ribbon's going to be coming. Now when you wind it on, you'll see when I come back around here real quick. When you wind it on, you do want to kind of wind it like a bobbin. So I'm just going to instead of piling it right on top of each other, I'm just going to scooch it over a bit. And you will just keep doing, the only exception is when you have that 5/8 of an inch ribbon, because it will fill the whole width here. But I'll just keep going. And each time I will keep moving over until it's time to come back to the other side. And then I'll start working the way back. Now when I come to the end, which I'm coming to the end here, as you can see, the marks, the little dots and stuff are the top side of my hoop, and I don't have anything on the other side. So I want to make sure that I'm looking at the marks in position when I go to attach it. So I've got my little tail out here towards me, so you can see I've got it holding on, and he's going to go right into this little groove here as well. So I'm just going to slide him right into the little groove. So once I've got him in, just lock that back down. And now we're going to come and thread the underneath part. So I'm going to come, and there's my first little groove. Can you see there? And I'm just going to weave him in and out. And he's going to come out. And I'm going to weave, there's a little groove right in here, and I'll just come in here. And you want to make sure this is open so it can feed through. And then we'll just come and snug that back in to where it's just going to kind of get a little grip of the ribbon there. And then it's ready to go. So that is how you thread the ribbon. Can I go to the library to show more designs? On Facebook Live, it's not really optimal for me to be able to switch my view for you to be able to see my computer. So now it's not I really can't from here. But again, if you take a look, or I don't know if it's open right now, but you can try going to the MySoNet library and taking a look and see if you can take a peek. If not, I would go see the local dealer, your local dealer, because there are quite a few of embroideries on it. And what is so wonderful too about the library is, you know, there's 5,000 plus designs and they're constantly adding more. Well, it's as you can see, I did a quick ribbon embroidery attachment search and I got just the ribbon embroidery attachments. So that's the nice thing about the library is I can search for just flowers or a specific type of flower or whatever I'm looking for. Then there's a filter where I can say I want flowers, but I only want them to be this size. Or I want flowers, but I really only want ribbon embroidery. Or I want flowers, but I want to do felting. So you can really narrow it down, and instead of going through, like if you've been in embroidery for a long time, like I've, 20 years for me, I've got mountains of files of embroideries on my computer that I never open because I don't even know where to begin to start looking. And so it's really convenient to be able to go, I just want flowers. Plus the library also has tips, tricks, ideas, inspiration, help. It's really a great little place. So, somebody wanted to see my samples again. Okay, let me see. So they will not be in any particular order. But this is a recent upload from the library. So this is the Dia de los Muertos, honoring the dead, Day of the Dead. And there's a whole bunch of Halloween ones that have popped up as well, just in time for the holidays. And then as soon as Halloween is over, we'll start seeing our Christmas designs popping up. So this is the Magnificent Lion. And I actually changed the color because the embroidery is lion color, where it's browns and tans. And so I did a different color. And then I did it again to go with my quilt that I'm working on, in just tones of gray. So yeah, it's fun. And if you go to the My Sonnet library, there is the Magnificent Lion done where it was all fabric collage. So all the fabric collage was done before the embroidery. So this is, I've got about 4 minutes left. So I'm going to try and get through this quickly. This is one where I ran out of ribbon. I had miscalculated. So instead of getting upset, I just ran a different color in there and made that look like I meant to do that. So this is from the library. I mean, not from the library. This is from the software. But here I actually took the llama and put a unicorn from another design from the library. So I just took the horn and popped it in so that I could have a unicorn, a llama-corn, actually. This is one of the newer designs that there's a bunch of dinosaurs. So this one I'm making for my grandson. This one is just a table runner, but I did the edge of it with the ribbon embroidery attachment border that was there. And then this is variegated ribbon, and this is the elephant. So I just stitched him out. This is one I did for my granddaughter. So this is just a little butterfly with a few crystals. And then just some fun thing. I used the three-hole yarn foot. I used the edge joining foot. I used the binding attachment. I did the embroidery with the buttonholes and all that at one go. Very convenient. This is also a new design on the ribbon embroidery on My Sonnet library. And then when the poodle came out, it was just a given that it would end up, for me, it was a given that it would end up a poodle skirt. So this is a new, well, this one's a few weeks old. And then this one is, all of these are the designs from the My Sonnet library. So there's a couple of unicorns, some princesses, castles, etc. And I'll show you what those look like close up. So here's a unicorn. And again, I did play with the software for the quilting in the background. But there's the unicorn, there's some hearts, there's the full unicorn, and then the castle and the princess. Okay. Oh, have you put the ribbon embroidery on wearable items and then laundered it? Yes, I have. I've made quite a few things for my grandkids. So when I tend to do stuff that's going to be washable, I am more cautious about using silk, satin, more traditional ribbons rather than the experimentation. The experimentation can go on my wall hangings and stuff like that until I've tested them. But the stuff I do with my grandkids, it's silks and satins. Not a lot of silks, to be honest, with the kids, but a lot of satins and organzas and stuff like that. Okay, so I've got about 30 seconds. So will there be an update for those that own Premier Plus 2 Ultra for ribbon embroidery? There, as far as I know right now, no. But I know that they are working on something. So I would just keep tabs with your dealer and just have them, because they'll hear about anything before, pretty much even before I do. So I know that the software developers, they've been working on something. So I don't know. Keep your eyes peeled. You never know. So that's the thing with PFAFF is they always listen to us. So we don't always get what we want, but they do listen to us to and work on it. So you never know. All right. So again, the firmware update for this will be available very shortly. I just don't have a date. I want to thank you all for coming, and I will be back on Facebook to answer any questions that I may have missed, and I will talk to you all soon. And bye.